Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Good morning, my students in class 4A and B. Today we will start with new unit on 18th of March, Wednesday, Unit 10, which is talking about electricity. Our title of the first lesson is What is electricity? Our objective is to explain what is that atom and what are its particles. At first, have you seen these phenomena before? What can you see here in this picture? Why the girl's hair standing out from her head? Why? Okay, later we will answer. Did you do this experiment before? Let us to see. Okay, when we finish this lesson, inshallah, we can explain this phenomenon. Okay, now look at these matters here. What do all these matters have in common? Here we have examples of solid, examples of liquids, examples of gas. What do all these materials or these matters have in common? At first, we have to remember the particles in each state of matter. In solid, the particles are closely together, liquid and gas. Look at the particles here. In this lesson, we have to learn that these particles are called atoms. So, the desk, chair, book, you, all of these examples are all made of atoms. So, what are the atoms? What's the meaning of atoms? Look at this picture here. The atoms are the building blocks of matter. So all the matters around us, even you, made up from atoms. The atoms are the building blocks of matter. The atoms are so small you cannot see it with your eyes. You have to use special microscope to see it. Okay, so when we look closely to this atom, all the atoms are made of smaller particles from this atom, which is called three particles. Called the first one is electron and proton, neutron. Again, all of these atoms are made up from smaller particles, which is called electron, proton and neutron. Neutron and proton, they are inside the atom in nucleus. This is called a nucleus. But the electron, it's available in the space which is called electron cloud. Electron cloud. But you have to know the most important things, that the atoms made up from smaller particles called electron, proton, neutron. But what is the main difference between them? What are the difference, or what is the difference between electron, proton and neutron? This is the atom. Inside the nucleus, here we have protons, neutrons, and in the electron cloud we have electrons. What is the difference between them? The difference is something called electric charge. What is this electric charge? It's the property of a particle that affects how this particle behaves around other particles. Again, the difference between electrons, protons and neutrons, something called electric charge. This electric charge means a property of a particle that affects how it behaves around other particles. How the electrons behave around another particles, how the protons behave around other particles. All of these called electric charge. So for the protons have a positive charge. Each proton has positive 1, its charge positive 1. Electrons have a negative charge. Each electron has negative 1. But the neutrons are neutral. The neutrons without any charge. Only the proton and electron have charge. Proton positive 1, electron minus 1, but neutrons are neutral. Neutral, it means they have no charge. Look at this example here. For this atom, here we have electron, proton, and neutron. Neutron, no charge. Proton, they have positive 1, and electron, negative 1. When an atom has equal numbers of protons and electrons, these charges, positive and negative, cancel each other. How? Look at this helium atom. This helium atom, it has 2 protons, so it has plus 2 protons, 2 electrons, so it has minus 2 electrons. So this plus 2 protons and minus 2 electrons, they are cancel each other. So this atom has equal number of proton here, 2 proton, and equal number of electrons here. So equal number of protons and electrons cancel each other. So this atom without any charge. There is no charge for the atom because it has equal number of protons and electrons. At first, to explain more about atoms, please open page 485. The first picture on this page, they tell us that some atoms or some electrons of the atoms, they can move from one atom to the other atom. Each of these atoms, at first here we have 2 atoms. Each one of these atoms has the same number of protons and electrons. On the left atom here has 3 protons and 3 electrons. Look at this atom here, 3 protons, so positive 3 protons, and in the electron cloud it has minus 3 electrons. The atom on the right side, it has 9 electrons, minus 9 electrons, and positive 9 protons. So each of these atoms has the same number of protons and electrons. So both atoms here are neutral. They don't have any charge because they have equal number of protons and electrons. But the atoms sometimes gain or lose electrons. Gaining or losing electrons will change the positive or negative charges of the atom. How? Look at this picture here, the second picture of the same page. In the same page, this electron here moved from this atom, from the left side to the atom on the right side. Again, this electron moved from the atom from the left side to the atom in the right side. What happened after that? The third picture tells us what happened. The left atom here now has 3 protons, so positive 3 protons. But what about electrons? Now it has minus 2 electrons, just 2 electrons. It was 3 electrons, but after moving of 1 electron, now it has minus 2 electrons. So the atom now, which one has more number, positive 3 or minus 2? Which one has more number of proton or electron? Here we have 3 proton, here we have 2 electron. Which one has more number? Of course, the protons. So the atom have a charge of positive 1. The difference between proton and electrons is 1. So the atom have a charge of number of positive 1. But what happened to the right atom? The right atom now has 9 protons, positive 9 protons, but it gained 1 electron. So it was minus 9 electrons, but now minus 10 electrons. 10 electrons now. So the atom have a charge of minus 1. Why? Because here we have 9 proton and 10 electron. Which one is or has more number of electrons or protons? The protons 9, the electrons 10. So the atom have a charge of minus 1. Minus 1. The atom on the left now has a charge of positive 1. The atom on the right has a charge of minus 1. This atom gained 1 electron, so the charge minus 1, because the electron has charge minus 1. But this atom lose 1 electron, so now the charge is positive 1 for this atom. Another example. Here we have these two atoms. This atom on the left side has before has 3 electrons, 3 protons, so there is no any charge for this atom, and this atom has I will count at first 1, 2, 9 protons, and at first 80 protons and 8 electrons. Again, the atom on the left side, it has 3 protons and 3 electrons, but the atoms on the right hand at first it has 80 protons and 8 electrons. Now this electron moved from this atom to the right side to this atom. What happened to the charge of the atom? After moving, now this atom has 3 protons, so plus the 3 protons, and 2 electrons, because this electron moved to the other atom, so it has 2 electrons. So what's the charge of this atom? The charge of this atom is positive 1, because there is more proton here, more than the electron. 3 is bigger than 2. But the right atom now, it has 80 protons, but it gained 1 electron, so it gained minus 1 charge, so the atom now has minus 1 charge. Now to sum up our lesson, desk, chair, book, any matter around you are all made of atoms. What's the meaning of atoms? The atoms are the building blocks of matter. The main or the basic building blocks of all the matter are called atoms. And the atoms are made of smaller particles, which is called electron, proton, neutron. Again, the atoms are the building blocks of matter, and these atoms are made up from smaller particles, which is called electron, proton, neutron. And we have to know that there is main difference between them. This difference is called electric charge. This electric charge, it's a property of a particle that affects how it behaves around other particles. This electric charge means that the protons have a positive charge, positive 1, electron, positive 1 for each proton. Electrons have a negative charge, negative 1 for each electron, and the neutron are neutral, they have no charge. And we have to know that the atoms sometimes gain or lose electrons. When it gained or loses electrons, these gaining or losing electrons will change the positive or negative charges of the atom. For this example, the left atom here 3 protons and 3 electrons, but when it loses the 1 electron, now it became 2 electrons, minus 2 electrons. So this atom has positive 1 charge. What about the right atom? The right atom, it was 9 protons and 9 electrons, but when it gained 1 electron, now it became minus 10 electrons, so the atom has minus 1 charge. I hope to write this summary. I will send it for you, inshallah. Good luck.